On today's episode, we talk all about your personal brand. Both Stephanie and I spent yesterday with some of the biggest brands and the best instructors on personal brand on planet Earth. And we have some learnings for you. I'm excited to share these with you. We are going to be delving in deep into what you can be doing with your personal brand to put your business on the map like it's never been before. Question is this: how do those of us in the real estate industry with crazy amounts of ambition, how do we think bigger than the building of our own empires? How do we simultaneously seek success and significance, income and impact? My name is Justin Stoddard, and this is the Think Bigger Real Estate Show. All right, welcome back, everybody, and welcome to my amazing co-host, Stephanie. How you doing, my friend?
Hey, I am doing great. I'm still feeling pumped from yesterday and excited to push this out to a lot of people today.
Yeah, you and me both. I think I came into that event, which, by the way, huge kudos to Cardinal Financial, huge kudos to Dayton Parks from Cardinal Financial for putting the KFA event together. Like, it was impressive. And Stephanie and I know what it's like to put together a big event, and it's not easy. And so our hat goes off to them. They did an incredible job. We'll start with that. But yeah, I came in with an expectation that it would be very good. And I walked out with being changed as far as how I look at brand and how important it is. So for all of you listening here today, Stephanie and I both have our notes from what we learned yesterday. And we're going to be sharing with you as if you were there in the room, like learning from Ryan Serhant yourself. We're giving you the Cliff's Notes. We're giving you our key takeaways, the things that we felt like are the most valuable things that you could be implementing into your business right now. So Stephanie, ladies first, share with me kind of, let's kick off. We'll just go back and forth and kind of feed off each other. So why don't you go ahead and share with me kind of one, at least your first aha from this event?
Well, my first thought that Ryan Serhant said was, your brand is one thing that you can control. And that theme was brought up over and over, that we can brand ourselves, and that is something that we own. And that's where people can see us and know us on lots of different platforms. And it's all the same. They used examples like, if I stopped paying any random lead source, they're going to take my face off the website. So I'm going to focus on branding that I can control, that my audience is going to see, whether I'm paying for a platform or not.
Yeah, that's a brilliant point. You know, something similar that Ricky Carruth shared that kind of gave me a similar vision of how important brand is. He said, in fact, let me just read one of his actual quotes that he said. He said, you know, and I think what this gave for me is that oftentimes you have people who won't do personal brand because they don't realize the opportunity that's behind it. I think that's true of all of us. Like, I don't eat healthy because I don't actually feel like I'll ever really be in shape, or I don't whatever because I don't actually feel like I'll ever do this, right? And one thing he did for me is he shared with me, and he put it this way. He said, there is unlimited amounts of business, more than you could ever handle forever. Right? That there are more closings happening in your community, regardless of interest rates, regardless of inventory. People move. Life events happen and people move. Real estate will always be changing hands. And once you get your head around that, you realize like all these market conditions that everyone's talking about and the NAR lawsuit, all this stuff is like, it becomes not that important because there's still so many transactions and so many people that need your help. And you don't get to access that if nobody knows who you are, right? If nobody knows you, there's 100% chance they won't use you, right? Let's just be honest. Like a 100% chance, if they've forgotten about you, there's a 100% chance that they won't use you. And so for me, it just expanded my vision of like, we just have to be known, right? You just have to be known.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people get in their own way about branding because they think that they don't know what it is that makes them special in the marketplace, what it is that makes them different, and what does their audience really want to hear. So that's what I'm excited to break down today, is what makes you special. Anyone who's listening to this, what makes you special that you want to share in the marketplace, and how do you get people to be a part of that story with you? Because we probably all have stories that we're not sharing.
One thing that I realized, again, for those that were not at the event or unaware of the event, we had Ryan Serhant, Ricky Carruth, Ryan Pineda, and Buck Wise, all incredible marketers and personal brand experts. Again, pouring into us. So just for some context, there was some real kind of firepower right behind all of that. So Stephanie, walk me through when you say we're going to break it down. For you, obviously, you already have a personal brand that's pretty incredible in your community. What are some things that you're going to be doing differently now, like the tactical stuff that you're like, okay, this changed for me yesterday, and I'm going to start doing this better or this different?
Well, it's kind of jumping ahead to the last step, but the thing that changed for me is always be thinking about the hero of the story. And that's the client. That's the person that you want to be a part of that story with you. Why is it important to them? Because it's one thing for me to stand up there and talk about me, and here's me with an award, and here's how many homes I sold. But why is that important to my ideal audience? So we're going to be taking time to break down who is your ideal audience, what's important to them, and how do you make them part of the story? How do you make them want to be part of the story with you?
Yeah, well, let's keep going. I loved that topic that I also took away from the event. So please do. Let's just start down that path. What would be the first step in that?
Yeah, first step is identify who you are. And I got a lot of this from Buck Wise. He is such a genius in the marketing space. I mean, he worked for Nike, Starbucks, and he's a great storyteller. He's told a story about the pumpkin spice latte and how they really thought about who's the ideal consumer for the pumpkin spice latte. And they started building an avatar around that person. What is this person doing? Why are they excited about having a pumpkin spice latte? What are they wearing? Where are they going when they're getting that latte? So when I'm thinking about that, that's how I'm going to be building my brand now, is starting with where you came from, who you are now, and where you're going, and building a story around that. So the first thing I need to do is identify who's my ideal audience and my ideal client. So I'm thinking, a lot of realtors are going to say, I'll work with anyone. If the phone rings, I'm on it. I'm working with them. But the reality is that's not our ideal client. So what I started thinking about is, who do I love to serve that gets me so excited? If I could serve this type of person in this type of scenario all day, every day, I would never get tired of selling real estate. So that's how I'm starting to build the story around my audience and determine who do I want to be talking with every day. I can't hear you.
Test. Can you not hear me now? Test. How's that? Test.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things I learned from Ricky Carruth as well, is it around this concept of abundance, right? So you're talking about hone in on your avatar, and I think some agents will hold off on actually doing that because they feel like they have to capture everybody. Like, who do I serve? Anybody who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. And so their marketing sounds like that. It's talking to everybody, which means it's talking to nobody. And what you just shared, Stephanie, I think is really important for us to recognize is it's okay to say, of course you could. And if somebody came and they wanted your help buying, selling it, or investing in real estate, sure, you could help them. And by you choosing a specific niche and actually saying yes, absolutely to this person, it doesn't mean that the rest of your business is going to shut down. Mm-hmm. In fact, what's going to happen is that those people who are that, let's say, pumpkin spice latte perfect person, right, to Starbucks, those people start to come out of the woodwork because they say it sounded like you were talking to me. I feel like you were talking to me. In fact, you and I had this experience just recently when we announced our partnership. We had people coming out of the woodwork saying, I felt like you were talking to me. When you were talking about a successful business and a significant life, I felt like you were talking to me. Because we got really clear is that not every agent out there is the right partnership for the Think Bigger Real Estate Group. There's a very specific avatar we're looking for who we know that we can serve. and that we have enough in common that we can really light things up for them, both professionally as well as personally. And so back to your point of like, it's this abundance mentality of it's okay to define who you want to serve. You're not going to get less business out of that. You're going to get more business out of that. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. And just to reiterate what you said, one thing that I heard multiple times in different ways was if you're talking to everyone, you're actually talking to no one, because no one is resonating with what you're saying. Another Buck Wise moment, he was mimicking the people that are, they got their phone out and we're talking to our phones. Hey, everybody. Hi, everyone. Hello, Instagram. That's not capturing anyone's attention because it doesn't feel personal. It doesn't feel like you're talking to me. You're telling a story that I want to be a part of.
Yeah, boy, that's really well said. It's so common. And again, you're right. He talked about this concept that as humans, we're very accustomed to giving pleasantries. Hi, right? And so we think that we should be doing that in video, and it's not. We need to be speaking directly to the avatar and quickly, because people's attention span is so short that cut all that out. If you want to add in who you are, add it in a little bit later. Once that person knows you're going to be talking about a topic that's relevant to them, right? Then circle back and make an introduction. But don't be adding all this fluff up front, because people they got time for that. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they said take your phone and go 1 2 1 2 1 2. That's how long you have to capture someone's attention. If we think of our own habits on social media, or even just how many emails we delete in a day, when we think about our own habits, we realize that we don't have much opportunity to capture attention. So the better we get at that right away, the better results that we're going to see from that.
I love it. I think to your point of identifying who you love to serve, some people are like, well, I love to serve everybody. It's like, think back about the client that you served fairly recently that was like, man, I love that person. If I could just serve people like them all day long, my life would be complete. Like, it would be amazing, right? Mm-hmm. Think about who that person is, and then begin to identify what are the attributes of that person that make them that way. Right? What was it that made it to where you felt like you not only had a great connection, but you could uniquely serve them in a way that they really appreciated, where they saw the value in you? By the way, that's going to come in really handy as the changes to our industry roll out, right? Is that you're going to be able to really, they're going to feel the fact that you serve them in a unique way. So that's how I would maybe tactically go to identifying who your key avatar is just identify a client who you served in the past. Where it's like, man, I'd love to serve more people like that. Okay, then start there, right? What's the next step after that, Stephanie? Once you've identified your avatar, what would you say one would do in addition to that?
Yeah, your next step is to build your story. So in the theme of where I was, where I'm at now, and where I'm going. So building your story that creates your brand. You are your brand. So what things in life have you gone through? What things in business have you gone through that have gotten you to where you're at right now? And start telling a story around that and make it relatable to your audience. So now we know who we're talking with. So if I'm going to tell a story about how I got to where I'm at as a real estate investor, I know the audience is real estate investors that I want to be talking with. They don't care about my kid's birthday party, let's say. I mean, those are cute things, but that's not part of the story that audience cares about. If I'm telling a story about living in a home and a lifestyle of a community, and I want to attract other moms with young kids, then I want to tell a story about me and my family and how we live in this community. So building your story, what got you up to the point where you're at right now? A piece that I picked up from Ryan Serhant was, I sell real estate and then leave a blank. And that's going to be part of the worksheet that we're going to provide for y'all is, and what? Fill in that blank. Like for me, I could say I sell real estate and I'm a mom, and I'm an Oregon City resident, and I'm a community advocate, and I'm a Christian, and I'm a friend. Whatever that is, fill in that blank And that's going to be part of your story of who you are and your identity.
One of the best lessons that I learned was actually what you just taught right there, but how Ryan Serhant did that in front of all of us. Like he did that for us. You think about, he's talking to a room of real estate agents who obviously there's changes happening in the marketplace that are causing some people to be concerned and fearful. And so what he did in order to instill belief in people, he told the story back when he was awful, right? He was brand new. He had all kinds of trouble. And all of a sudden, just with some massive confidence and some very bold moves, he was able to get himself on $1 million listing on Bravo, which was completely like a total like fake it till you make it moment for him, right? And so I think what you just shared with us, Stephanie, is that take a story in your life where you experienced the transformation that you want to have that you want to help your audience to have, right? And I think that's, again, people remember stories. Of all the things that I learned yesterday, the things that I remember the most are the stories that were told. And so part of your personal brand is just reinforcing what Stephanie said there is be very find the stories that helped you to become the brand that you are. So Stephanie said, for example, I'm a real estate agent and a community advocate, right? Just yesterday, she was sharing with me a story about how she was advocating for someone in her community who was at need. And it reinforced the fact that, yes, she absolutely isn't just here to sell real estate. She's here to really build the community, right? So those stories impact. And I would encourage you all to not just have bio points of, I've done this, I've been in the business for this long, I've sold this many homes, I've got these awards, but tell a story that again, encapsulates this unique way and the unique avatar that you serve, and the unique way in which you serve the industry. Anything you want to add to that, Stephanie?
Yeah, and it's just so easy because we have all been in situations and transactions or times where we served someone and we saw that story unfold. So when we're thinking back on our ideal person, that transaction or that client that we served, that like, wow, that was just the best. And when I want my business and life to be of success and significance, that's how I'm achieving that significance. It's like, this made me feel awesome. I felt like I served somebody in a really great way and I was able to change their life. Now I get the opportunity to tell that story. So everyone has something that they can use. You don't have to have a $1 million listing TV show on Bravo to make it a worthy story, because that's probably not your audience. Like, people in New York are not my audience. So I've got these stories that I can share just within my own community. And again, make that person the hero of the story. It's not about me. It's not about what I did. It's about how I got them to where they want to be.
Yeah, that's some really powerful lessons that oftentimes get overlooked. Is that when you look around the real estate space, you see people kind of, again, beating their chests of like, I did this, I did this, I did this. People don't necessarily care about that, right? We don't see our doctor or our dentist saying, I helped this, like I did this, I did this, I have these awards, right? What we see and what people want to see are the lives that were impacted. And why do they want to see that? Because there will come a point where they want their life impacted in a similar way, right? We should really, I think, embrace what Stephanie said there, to think back, just as I've invited you to look back at your ideal client avatar, think back about the stories that you've really helped people with, where they were in a spot they didn't want to be in, and all of a sudden, with your help, they're in a much better spot. As part of a way to reinforce your brand, tell those stories. Tell those stories, because people will be able to make an emotional connection of like, that person was in a home they didn't want anymore. That person was in a community or in a school district or some living position they didn't want to be in anymore. And that story of Stephanie helping them in this market get from here to here, I want that, right? So again, tell the human stories. That's what makes people emotionally connect to you.
Yeah, exactly. And the next step is what makes you unique. So you've got your ideal audience, you've told your story. Now, what makes you special? What about you and the services that you provide and the experience that your client and your customer gets to have while they're working with you? What is unique about that? So, I mean, that's going to be different for everyone, but that also helps with I am a real estate agent and this. There's going to be people that are experiencing those same things and that resonate with you, not just I do this marketing thing that is different than everyone else, but the experience that they get to be a part of that is different than if they worked with someone else.
And I'm going to put you on the spot here a little bit, Stephanie, but I think our audience will learn best if you were to share what is something unique about your client experience. And keep in mind, folks, this is totally unprepared, but I know Stephanie can handle the heat.
Yes.
What's something that makes your client experience unique, so people can really get their head around that for themselves?
Mm-hmm. I really pride myself on being an advisor to clients. So if you're coming into an appointment with me, you know that you are going to get holistic advice. I'm going to help you dissect every piece of your lifestyle and of your financial situation and of your current and future goals so that we can really build out a whole life plan for you. If you come to me and you say, I want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and I want to be in this school district, my first question to you is, why is that important to you? What about that is important to you? Because I'm not selling bedrooms and bathrooms. I'm selling a lifestyle to you. And I'm not even selling, I'm helping facilitate getting you to your goals of that lifestyle. So when I'm finding out, here's why it's important to me. We're getting married, we have a baby on the way, or it's really important to me that we stay in this school district because my child has some special needs and he's getting really well supported at this particular place. I'm now thinking, what else does this person need to know? They may be new to this community or they may be seeking something. And now I know what else is important to them. So that is unique to me, where I think a lot of my competition would just say, okay, check, that's what you want. I'm going to email you some properties and we'll go from there.
Yeah, you just showed at the very end there, Stephanie, the way to be very common is just be an order taker, right? It's no different than working at McDonald's. Like, okay, would you like fries with that? That's the extent of like, okay, you want 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. Would you like a yard with that? I hope you guys can see the reason why maybe there's some consumer sentiment of like, man, real estate agents are get paid a lot of money, because the experience that the consumer had is they're simply dealing with an order taker and a door opener. If you really want to elevate your brand to be something unique, something that really people value, is to do those questions that Stephanie just asked. Like, tell me why that's important to you. Like, those are just a few words, but they open up, especially if you're sincere about it, right? And you genuinely care. And then you've built, right, a network and a knowledge base to be able to support people and why that's important to them. My goodness, like, you just can't put a price tag on that. You stand out from being common. You go from being an order taker to being truly an advisor, a coveted advisor, one that people just can't wait to, or they can't imagine not having you be a part of their transaction. So that was unscripted, Stephanie, and you crushed it. Well done.
Thank you.
All right. Next step, what do people do is after they kind of bring these stories into their brand?
Yeah, I mean, the last most important piece of this is what is your target audience needing right now? And you have to be a listener to be able to identify that. So, maybe you are in those conversations and what about that is important to you? Or you're out in the community, or I use Facebook community groups a lot. And there are a lot of complainers on Facebook community groups. So I can take that as a turnoff, or I can take that as a way to learn about what's important to people in this community. So what do they need? What are they struggling with? every objection that I hear, whether it's, I can't make a move right now because interest rates are too high, or it's raining, or whatever the problem of the day is, how can I have a solution for that? And if I don't have a solution, how can I just be a part of that experience with them? So that I'm identifying what is really important to them, because they don't care about, maybe it's important to me, but that's not what's important to them. That's not what's important to my target audience. So I need to be thinking of a lot of things constantly, like what problem can I solve, and how do we become part of that experience with them?
What a different perspective, right? You could just like listen to those people briefly and be like, enough already, quit your whining, right? Victim, blah, 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 blah. But what I
Right.
heard you say, and again, I think this goes into not just having the mind of knowing what it means to have a brand, but having the heart behind it as well. Because you can say, I'm caring, I care about my community, I'm a community advocate. And those all sound really nice. And they're a nice part of your brand, right? Or it sounds like it would be. But if your heart isn't behind it, it gets to be pretty superficial. And I think that's where maybe a lot of brands don't carry a lot of weight, is because they don't, the people talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. So if you're going to claim something, like actually be that thing, right? And if you don't want to be a community advocate, then don't say it, right? Like don't claim that, claim something else. Be sure that your brand is really aligned. And you said something earlier, Stephanie, that I think is really important for people to recognize, is that when you're thinking about having success and significance, which again is absolutely our mission here at Think Bigger Real Estate, is to help you to have that. One of the things to do is that when you really work amidst what I should say, that put it this way, if your brand is aligned with your DNA of who you really are at the core, right? Then all of a sudden you can find significance in actually creating the success. Is that when Stephanie's asking those questions about, now, why is that important to you? And she hears about a special needs child, and she knows, right, people who can help in that community, and she's able to connect people. Who else you should know that would potentially be a good support for you and your family. Like that's a work from the heart for her, right? Is that right, Stephanie? Like all of a sudden you come home and you're not just like, not only did you create great business that day, but you achieved fulfillment.
Yeah, exactly. You can often get to the end of the day and say, what did I even accomplish today? What did I do that was important? And I mean, that's what's going to keep me going, because this business can be hard. It can feel like a grind, and it can really tear at you emotionally. And if you don't have all these mindsets that we're talking about, you can probably feel like you lost more than you won. So I need to have opportunities for those wins to feel like I am making a difference, and having that abundance mindset too of, sometimes losing out means that I get the opportunity to really go deeper with someone else.
This reminds me a little bit, and I'm going to take a little bit of a detour here, but it's aligned with our overall mission. I was listening to a good friend of mine. He was interviewed on a podcast about his spiritual journey. He talked about, the life that he pursued for a long, long time, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, the whole deal. And he said, it was a lot of fun, but I was looking for fulfillment and I couldn't find it. And so I share that, not because that's what we're talking about today, but I do think that if you are at a spot in your business where it's like, it's been a lot of fun, like I enjoy selling real estate, it's been good to me, but I'm looking for fulfillment. It could be the fact that your brand hasn't been totally aligned with who you really want to be. Like the impact that you want to have is this, but over here, your what you're marketing and what you're putting out there feels a little superficial. It's just misaligned. It's just different than who you really are. And I'm hoping that this conversation helps somebody, if not a lot of people, to be able to create some alignment so they have more fulfillment. That it's like, I get to be successful and significant all at the same time, right? It's all in alignment now. I don't know if that speaks anything to you, Steph.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, that will change over time. I've been selling real estate for 17 years. So early on, there was a different type of lifestyle that I related to. And now I'm at a different place. And it usually is in alignment with where I'm at in life, is what is most attracted to me. And the people that most want to be in relationship with me are feeling the same things and experiencing the same things. So it just makes it easy. I don't have to think really hard about what the pumpkin spice latte customer is struggling with and wants to wear and what they're doing that day. If I don't like pumpkin spice lattes, it's going to be really hard for me to be thinking about that. But if I do love something else, I love classic cars. So I know what a classic car owner wants in a home. I'm going to be always looking for the room for the shop. Does it have that extra garage? So it's just easy. And it makes it really easy for that to be part of my brand. It makes it really easy for me to create content around that, because that's what I'm already doing every day. If you want a little garden of tomatoes, I'm doing that, and I'll show you how to do that and have that lifestyle in your home. If you want to raise cattle, I probably can't help you there. So it just makes it so natural, and it makes it really comfortable for the client too, that we're part of the same story. And that's when they're going to later that season be texting me, look at my tomatoes. I grew tomatoes and I have a garden now. Thanks for helping us get this larger piece of property. And that's fulfilling.
I'd like to move now, Stephanie, to a round where we just kind of go through and share a few more key highlights and nuggets from what we learned yesterday. I feel like we've built a pretty good foundation to help people to kind of realign their brand. And keep in mind, this doesn't mean you go out and you change your logo and your colors and all that. That's not what we're talking about with brand, right? That's not what we're talking about. Sure, at some point you might decide that there's some misalignment there, but it's really about being sure that the message that you're portraying every single day is aligned with the clients that you actually want to serve and the person that you are to serve those people. So I'd love to, because I've got so many nuggets here, Stephanie. Are you okay on time? Let me just ask this question. Are you okay to go for a few more minutes?
Yeah, as long as people are finding it valuable, I'll keep going.
Okay, same here. Because again, I oftentimes learn best when I'm engaging and sharing it with other people. So selfishly, I want to keep sharing this with you all at minimum, because it's really good for me. And again, I want to contribute to all of you. So the thing that Ryan Serhant shared that I think will maybe shift, because again, you may have your brand aligned, but you're still a secret agent. You're silent about it. You're not telling anybody about it, right? And why not? Because you're afraid that you're just not quite right. You're not quite ready yet. Like, I don't know if I look quite how I want to look yet. I'm going to wait. And there's always I'm going to wait tomorrow, next month. And he had this line. He said, he taught us that when he was like applying, long before he was actually legitimately qualified to be on Bravo, so to speak, he had this line of like, what would Ryan do 2 years from now? Like, and he would make decisions today based on what his 2 year from now self would tell him to do or would do. And it completely changed, because all of a sudden, all the crap that he tells himself about not being ready, because we all believe in 2 years from now, we're going to be in a much better spot, right? And so it actually changes the way you think today, and it compresses time to where you're not waiting for 2 years to become the person that you could have been. This gives you the ability, the permission to say, why not just start acting like that person today? And guess what? All the things that you want to, that you think are 2 years out, all of a sudden become right smack dab in front of you. And all of a sudden they're very attainable. So I would encourage, if any of you are like, yeah, I got the brand dial, this has been really helpful, but I'm not quite ready to put it out there yet. What would 2 years from now, you yourself, like, what would you be doing at that point? You'd probably be doing it. You'd be speaking it, and you'd be shouting it from the rooftops. That was one aha that I had.
Yeah, that's actually part of my homework, is I wrote that down, and I'm going to go really deep and really specific on what does 2 years from now, Stephanie, what does she look like? Where is she living? What is she doing with her time? And what is she eating? All of those things in everything in my life. What does the best Stephanie 2 years from now look like? And what Ryan had said over and over is, that person is now your boss. And I love that. Like, that was so straightforward. He was very entertaining. But that person is your boss. So if 2 years from now, Stephanie is going to have a healthier lifestyle, now I'm going to have 2 years from now, Stephanie, in my brain saying, go on your walk today. Have those vegetables on your plate. Or like Ryan Pineda gave a great example, that he didn't have any fancy equipment. He didn't have any idea of what he was doing. He had an iPhone and the TikTok app, and he was recording himself, and it was not true to himself, because he said, you can go deep and you can find some dancing videos of me on TikTok, which I follow him now, and he's not dancing, that's for sure. But he was willing to try, and he knew it wasn't perfect, but he got out there and he made something. That was what was most inspiring for me from him. Was he already had that vision of what do I want this to look like 2 years from now? Well, I've got to just get out there and do it. Even though I don't have fancy equipment, I don't have a studio, I don't even know how to edit a video, I don't know what to say, but I'm just going to start creating content. And he grew organically to, I think, 400,000 followers on TikTok within the first year.
Yeah, I think down that same vein, I think there's a story that stood out to me. Ricky Carruth shared the time in which he was absolutely about ready to die because he was overdoing or doing drugs and alcohol at extreme levels. He was not in a good spot. And he woke up one morning and was like, if you'll save me, I will never do those things again. Never do those things again. And I can't remember how many years it's been, but he's not done those things again. And his point of the story is that transformation can happen instantly. We can decide right now on this podcast, I'm going to be the person that I've always known that I can be right now. But oftentimes, unfortunately, we have to wait for things to get bad enough to say, I am sick and tired of being sick and tired. I am making a decision right now. I am done. And so my encouragement to you is, you don't have to wait until you're destitute, until you're sick and tired of being sick and tired to make that decision. You can actually, and sometimes that helps, right? But you can actually decide right here, right now, that I'm going to build a brand and I'm going to be vocal about it. I know who I am. I know the clients I want to serve, and I'm tired of being quiet about it. I am going to make a difference in the lives of people. I'm not going to be a stealth agent anymore. I'm going to be loud and proud that this is who I am and this is who I serve. And I think when that shift happens, all of a sudden doors start to open, because now, God is conspiring with you. He always has been, but now you're allowing those opportunities to open and come into your life like never before, because you're not hiding from them. That was a big aha for me.
Yeah, definitely. And I have a couple of agents that I'm coaching right now that they're just very humble, and they don't want to be bragging about themselves. They don't want to make it about themselves. And that's the point. That's the best thing, is that it's not about you. It's about the person in the story. The hero of the story is your customer. It is your client. So you can be making content and building a brand because it doesn't have to be about you. It's how you were a part of the story for them. So it like kills two birds with one stone for me, because so many people are saying, well, I don't want to be bragging, or I don't want to be talking about myself all the time. This is your opportunity to tell the story, because what if you lost the opportunity to help the next person? I literally, before hopping on to this, was in a meeting with a client who felt that she was in a desperate situation to sell her dad's home, and gets things in the mail all the time. We'll buy your home for cash. She thought that was her only option. And after our 45-minute consultation, she realized she was leaving about $120,000 on the table. And it's like, I would never be able to forgive myself if I didn't show her some other options. And so that doesn't have to be about me bragging about how good I am. It's about how she's getting to the goal that she has for her family.
Yeah, I love that, Stephanie, because I do think sometimes we confuse being very confident as a sign of arrogance, that we're doing it for ourselves. And some do, but that's not what we're helping you build here at Think Bigger Real Estate, right? This is a brand so that you can serve. Enter here to learn, go forth to serve. That was actually the mantra of the university I attended. Enter to learn, go forth to serve. Like, the purpose here is not about building a statue of yourself so that we can all look at it and be so proud of it. No, this is about putting you on as big of a stage and platform as we possibly can so that you can help more people, right? I mean, Stephanie, what would that $100,000, what will that do for that family that you talked to? I mean, is that impactful, or is it just like a drop in the bucket for them?
Well, yeah, it's the difference of what kind of long-term care her father with dementia is able to receive.
So had you not been outspoken about your brand and what makes you different, and how there is a difference between being a friendly agent and a trusted advisor, these people might not have learned about you, right? And so, again, don't be selfish, folks. This isn't about you. This is bigger than you. Stop being so concerned about what people might think, if whether you're ready or whether you're qualified, right? That's you looking at yourself saying, what will people think of me? This isn't about you. This is about creating a brand for other people so that they know where to go to get the best help.
Right. Because I didn't go knock on her door and say, hey, does your dad have dementia and you need some help? I'm not doing that. She reached out to me because I told a story of someone else and she remembered that. And then she reached out and said, hey, I know that you help people in this situation. Can I run some scenarios by you? Because I trust that you're going to give me an honest opinion about what's the best for my family. And that's exactly what we did.
And how did they learn about you? That's my question to you. Was it because you have a brand in the community of that, or how did that come about?
Yeah, we have some interaction in the past in the community, and we've remained Facebook friends. I haven't talked with her much at all in the last few years, but she has followed the stories that I've told on social media.
And again, the fun thing for me to hear about this, knowing your business, is that, you and your small but mighty team, right, help almost 100 families a year at this level, right? At this level, that's truly an advisory level. And I would say to all the agents out there that feel like your industry is under attack, right? And that feel like, man, it feels like everybody's coming at us, whether it be big tech, whether it be AI, whether it be NAR lawsuit, like whatever you may feel like, you have control over your brand, right? And you have the ability to increase your value proposition and then let people know about it more easily than ever before, right? It's been said that the CBS, NBC, and ABC of today are these social media platforms that all of you are consuming this information on, right? But if you can imagine in days of old, it would cost probably $100,000 to have primetime television access to where people would see you on a screen. And what we're saying right now is that these platforms are virtually free. The only thing that it costs for you to get out and share your brand is a little bit of courage, a little bit of organization, and a little bit of courage. Other than that, it's essentially free, right? So there really is no excuse for you to hide. The only excuse is right between your ears. And again, Think Bigger Real Estate is here to help you do exactly that, to get out of your own way and realize that you were created and designed for a bigger purpose, for more fulfillment, more service than you're currently engaging. And the time is now for you to realize that and step up, because the world needs you now more than ever before. Any final words from you, Stephanie?
Man, that was so good. I mean, I feel inspired to do the homework, to do the work. And I mean, that's a resource that we have for all of you, anyone in our audience that said, I've heard a lot of things. How do I break that down and actually do it? Do it alongside me. I've got a cheat sheet, essentially just a worksheet that bullet points every one of these questions that you ask for yourself, and your answers will build your brand. So just message Justin or I through whatever platform you are watching or listening to this, and we want to get that out to you.
I love it. We again, our big quest, right, is to help you to become a big thinker, right, as someone who builds a successful business and a significant life. And we are deeply and entirely committed to that mission. And we're looking for those with whom this message resonates. So please reach out to us. We're excited to help you. As Stephanie mentioned, she has a digital resource that we'll get right over to you that will be of great value to you. So Stephanie, always a pleasure. Such a pleasure to be in business with you. I learn from you every time we talk, and I know our audience does as well. Should we wrap it up? Bring it home?
Yes. Go think bigger, everybody.
Awesome. Appreciate it. All right, everybody.